All right, hello everyone. Thank you for attending my presentation today. Just a couple of ground rules. If you have a cell phone, please silence it, or turn your no texting. And if it is an emergency, you can step out. You can go upstairs here or go out the front door. Also, as far as any restrooms, or if you need a break, the restroom is right here around the corner. If you need to use the restroom. All right, so to get started. For all of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Haynes. I'm a master's student at the University of North Texas. I'm 33 years old, and I'm married to my wife, Shirley Haynes. We have 3 kids together. As far as my background, I grew up in Port Arthur, Texas. I'm from a single mother home. I spent 5.5 years in the Navy, and I've been in the IT field for about 15 years. All right, so y'all got to know me a little bit, so I want to get to know you guys a little. As you can see on the screen, I want to start with the young people first. If you can state we'll just do it real fast. You don't have to be no speech in it, but your name, your age, your school, and what you want to be when you grow up. So we'll start here with you, Miss Leela.
My name is Leela. I'm 14. I go to Cockaboo School, and when I grow up, I want to be
an engineer.
Yes.
What kind of, like, technical or?
For the motherboard chip.
Technical engineer. Okay.
My name is Azaria. I'm 15. I go to Fayette County High School, and I want to be a teacher.
Teacher, that's good. What field? Like math, science, social study, or?
Everything.
Okay.
All right. Everything.
Yeah.
I'm Ayana, and I'm 14, and I go to Lucille Collins. I want to be a pediatrician.
Okay, that's good.
My name is Tanaya. I'm 13. I go to Lucille Collins, and I want to be a photographer.
Photographer, okay. Let's do.
My name is Kalik. I'm 16. I go to Urban High School, and I want to be a civil engineer.
Civil engineer, wow. Okay. And I'm sorry, I skipped. Man, yeah, Quincy.
My name is Quincy. I'm 15. I go to North Carolina High School. I want to play football.
Football? All right. It's a professional NFL?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No problem. And then, okay, so now for the adults, let's start on this side.
Hi, my name is Cynthia. I am 32 years old. I'm married with 5 children. I'm currently in school. I attend Texas Wesleyan University. I will be graduating next year. I plan on getting my license to counsel. And that's what I want to be, a professional counselor, probably in the mental health field, and eventually have my own counseling business.
Okay. All right. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Demisha. I work in corrections managed care, which that's healthcare in the correction systems. I'm a single mom of 2. And my future goal is hopefully one day to be a social worker.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Charles. I'm like 42 years old. I am a senior lead QA engineer at Southwest Airlines. Been in the IT field for about 15 years. And that's it about me.
Cool. Thank you.
I'm Kendrick Williams, 33. Cynthia Williams, the first adult with my wife. I'm a professional truck driver and entrepreneur, and my future goals is to work for myself full time.
All right, thank you. And my wife, I know you're holding the camera, but you want to say what you want to do and everything?
Yes. I'm Shirley Haynes. I'm 33 years old. I'm in school to be a social worker, and I'm a housewife, mother of 3.
All right, thank you, man. All right. So, you're wondering why we're here today. Today, I want to focus on a thing called group economics, and mainly economics in our particular community. And the main purpose of this is to bring awareness and education about issues that's facing our particular community, and also to instruct and inspire the reason why we need to do these actions to actually change our situation and actually thrive in our and rebuild our communities. As far as my expectations, I just want to try to create an honest dialogue between us to pretty much to get you guys to pretty much bridge the gap between pretty much us not having an actual economy, and the reason why most of our issues that we have, the reason why we're having these issues. And as far as for you guys, for the participants, I also want to educate and enlighten you on issues that we did have in the past, and to really truly understand how money works and how investment and economics work in order for us to actually come up and rebuild our communities, like I said. All right, so as you see here, our main topic, like I said, was economics. And the title I put was a bad word in our community, because pretty much, for us, like a lot of us growing up, we don't really talk too much about economics. A lot of people don't really know what it is or what it pertains to. So that's why I say it's like a bad word in our community, because we really don't talk about it. So, of course, next slide here, it gives sort of a definition, like the book definition, but just to break that down, it's pretty much economics. Pretty much deals with how people use their land and resources within the community to create sustainable jobs and wealth for that community. So, like, just say if you're in a certain area, just like I know me and my wife are from Port Arthur, and Port Arthur is mainly like the refineries. So, like, that's like the main economic base in Port Arthur. But also there's other things such as like fishing, like man here, like fishing, shrimping, stuff like that, that you can actually utilize that to actually, make money and build the economy like that. Or other places where it's like there's like a lot of lumber or a lot of trees, you can actually, use that to build houses and things of that nature. All right, so why does this concern me and my community? All right, the Black and African American communities have several issues. Some of these issues are indeed a product of horrendous acts that were committed by others in the past. Others are a combination of propaganda and divide and conquer type techniques for people of higher standards, higher status to push their own evil agendas. And currently most of these issues are based off our own ignorance and self-hatred and self-destruction. Also, many organizations and government agencies, they provide various types of assistance to our community, such as like food stamps and housing and things of that nature. In many cases, this assistance is warranted. However, in some cases, it's doing more to cripple and damage our communities than to help it. Economics in our community, it can be seen as it's like a game of Monopoly, which I have displayed here. All the land, resources, and distribution is owned by only a handful of people. It's owned by a handful of people, but everyone in the community does not really own the land or the resources. So even though a lot of people may have these jobs are maybe rich or whatever, but they don't actually own the land or the businesses. So in essence, they're not really rich. They're pretty much just giving all the money right back, to other people's community. So therefore, like in the game of Monopoly, the Monopoly world, anytime we have land on someone else's property, or use any other resources, or make any type of move, we have to pay whatever fee or toll that anyone else of anyone else's liking. So in turn, we make them rich. So in this illustration, I'm going to show like a technical type of presentation, an illustration type of presentation to show exactly what's going on with the community and what we need to do in order to fix it. All right. So yes, what is going on in the community? As you know, in America, we make up about 13% of the population. How we account for like most of the the bottom feed inside of all the negative things in the community, and I go through each one pretty briefly here. So the first one is the unemployment rate, and a lot of y'all that don't know me, I'm like really a statistical type guy. I deal with like a lot of numbers and stuff. So most of these slides you're gonna see a lot of numbers and stuff like that. So, but as you can see here, this was back in 2013. This was the unemployment rate for like our youth from between 18 and 24. And you can see it was like almost 30% for African Americans. And then as far as like the national rate, the national unemployment rate usually, as far as the black community, is usually like almost twice as much as as other groups. Anyone here know why, or have an idea like why is it so high in the black community? Why is the unemployment rate so high?
Less jobs in our community?
Is there less jobs in our community?
I think it has something to do with your background. If you have felony drug convictions, that's why people find a job.
Okay.
I think it's probably because of the whole system. I think it's from children. I think African American and black people are taught different things, being raised by their parents in the community than of other races. And I think it's basically an ongoing cycle that needs to be broken at some point.
Okay, good answer. All right, one of my main points I see, like you see this guy here, he says now what, he just graduated, like y'all may not know, but as far as like the black community, it's like between 2 to 3 million black people that have bachelor's and master's degrees. They're actually unemployed right now at this moment. So like I know, like you said, like growing up, like usually we're taught, just to get a good job, and just work hard in school, get a good job, and that's it. But like this guy here, he says I need a job. Where are the jobs? Like who creates these jobs? Like that's the main point. My presentation. A lot of people say they want to be engineers, pediatricians, photographers, this and that. But once you get older, who's going to give you those type of jobs? And like the main thing I see, like as far as the economic side is, we're not creating these type of jobs. So we have to go to different races and different groups of people, to actually get this job, So, we can fill out all the applications, we can have all the bachelor's, master's degree, but if we're not providing for our own people, then that's, the main problem. And, I know like, different corporations, like AT&T, Verizon, they're all, provide jobs for people, but at the same time, it's, like just if you open your own business, for the most part, if you open your own business, you're going to pretty much, who you're going to hire? For the most part, you'll hire somebody that you're familiar with or, people that you know. So like you look at any other community, like the Asian community, the Korean community, all their businesses that they open, they usually hire people that, more like them. So, the same thing, right now in our country, everybody groups off to themselves, but as far as black people, we don't really own nothing at all if you really look at it. So, I mean, that's my take on it. Next issue, kind of like Ms. Cynthia was saying, as far as like the prison, you may have a felony on your record and this and that. But as you can see, once again, I have my statistics here. This is as far as the population. You see like in blue, so on the left side in blue, it shows like the white, I guess white America, and then they make up about 70% of the population. And then you see the prison rate for as far like white people is more or less about 30%. But then you look at the black and Hispanic, mainly the black is in the red color. We make up about 13%, but our people are about 48% are in prison or in jail. And as far as the whole prison jail thing, it's kind of a pushy topic. I know since I don't really want to go back to slavery and this and that, but pretty much after slavery, it was a lot of black people going to jail. And I have a couple of papers here. Let me go ahead and pass these out to you, or you guys can pass it around. But it talks about private prisons. Let me pass these around. You can just pass a couple on that side, and I'll pass these this way. But in regards to prisons, it's pretty much like private prisons. They actually get paid, like the state gets paid by the federal government up to like $50,000 per inmate. So this that's like another type of economy altogether. So if you look at it like, just say like our entertainment, I know like, the music, I'm gonna get to that later, but like the music industry, the movies, all that type of stuff is pretty much, it's like I say, like with the propaganda, but it's pretty much, it's promoting this type of violent activity, you know, if I say, you know, I'm in love with the, how you go, the who? The cocoa, you know, that's more than, you know, the songs that's out there now. Or you got that, you know, move that dope and this and that, and all these type of songs like that, you know, it's promoting this type of activity. But then once, you know, like people in our community, once we actually do this type of activity, then we go to prison, you know, we go to jail for it. And then these prisons, you know, so like just say the economics of it is, just say if you take somebody like a Lil Wayne, for instance, you pay him, just say you give him $5 million to, you know, make an album and, you know, promote, you know, all this, you know, drugs and all this type of stuff into the community. And just say if he influences, just say maybe 200 people to actually, you know, participate in this. And then once the police pick them up, take them to jail, that's 200 times 50,000. If you multiply that, that actually comes up to 10 million. You know, so like that investment that they put in Lil Wayne for, you know, 1 year investment, they just, you know, pretty much corrupted these other 200 people and they made their profit back, you know, times 2. You know, that's just 200 people that they influence. So, you know, as far as the prison rate, you got to really, you know, look at the economics behind it. And, you know, like there's a whole war on drugs type of folks or whatever. But, you know, it's like, you know, my whole thing on the war on drugs, you know, it's like, you know, they did it, you know, to stop the war on drugs, you can stop it from coming from the other countries, you know, but they wait till they got on the streets and then they start rounding up all the people, you know, taking them to jail or whatever. You know, because like they really, you know, they're really not trying to stop it. They really need these people to, you know, fill up the prison so they can actually make the money off of it. All right. My next slide is the school dropout graduation rate. This is kind of outdated. It's 2009, and actually it has improved a lot. But as you can see, back in 2009, this was in California. You see 37% dropout rate, and then also as far as like a 4-year graduation, you see like we was down for the African American community, it was more. We were down to like 63 or 64% of the actual graduation rate. And my question to you guys is, you know, why do you think it's such a disparity? Like why, you know, as far as the African American community, why is it so low as far as like the graduation rate, or why is it so high that there's so many dropouts as far as the community?
Parents.
Well, I think, yeah.
Bad neighborhoods, parents.
Parents, bad neighborhood, the conditions.
Yeah.
Social conditions.
I wouldn't say that. I would say mainly support, because I feel you can stay in a bad neighborhood and still succeed, but you have to have someone to support you. And if you don't have no one to support you, you'll give up on yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Good answer. And a couple other things, like, you know, I did some more research, but they're actually like other like private type schools. But I don't know if you heard about in Chicago. There's like an all-male school, and they, for the 3rd straight year, they graduated 100% of their students. All 100% of their students are going to college. Every single one of them, they all graduated. You know, no dropout rate or anything. So, you know, like you said, maybe the support system, maybe even be the teachers. Even, you know, you look at the teachers. You know, I'm not saying, you know, one race is bad or not, but as far as the teachers, it's 95% right now. It's like all like middle class, like white females, pretty much. You know, that teach them. So, you know, like another, you know, one of the main things is like building like a connection. Like just if you're teaching someone, you know, like you know, gotta have that connection. You don't really care about this person, and you know, whatever. It's like, you know, you don't really care about teaching. You don't really care if they're gonna advance or whatever. But if you really have a passion for this type of person, then you know, you're really gonna try to push them, you know, to succeed. But a lot of people, you know, they're not really connected with this type of person, you know, or this race or whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. So, you know, like as far as teachers, like I know someone said they want to be a teacher. Forgot who, but you know, that's really good, you know, especially in our community, you know, really, you know, help teach, you know, and also like a lot of the guys too, like mainly like black males, you know, a lot of black males are dropping out of school as well, so we need a lot more black male teachers too. All right, so, and before I go to my next slide, all right, I want to know, a show of hands, how many people actually like grew up in like a single parent home?
Yes.
Me too. All right, and as far as like the single black parent, like single mother, black mother at home, do you know like the percentage that our kids are being raised in a single black mother home? Anybody have the percentage?
It's high.
Probably about 40%.
You think 40?
I think it may be a little bit higher.
All right.
I think I'm gonna say probably about 74.
Ooh, 72%.
I ain't see that.
didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I was thinking right at 50.
I know it should be higher.
All right, and as far as this, like I said, I grew up in a single parent home, and my mom raised 5 of us, single parent and everything. So I'm not, knocking a single mother. I know there's a lot of single mothers here, and y'all do, a great job and everything. But the main, like the parent, the kid, they need both. They need that balance. They need the feminine energy, and then they need the masculine energy as well. So, like this 72%, then you also see the the welfare thing. Usually related to like African American people, and like you see the the chick here, I think she was on some type of special. I think she had like 9, or I don't know if you can count that many kids. I think like 9 kids, but they call her like the welfare 11 kids, okay, and they call her like the welfare queen, So even with that though, like I just want to give y'all like a little background on the whole welfare program. That like I know like every time somebody think about welfare and food stamps, it's usually related to Black African American people. But back when it first started, back in like the 1930s during the whole Great Depression, up until 1970, it was completely restricted for any other race, pretty much, other than like the white race, to actually be on welfare. So like actually, as far as like welfare, actually in the Black community, like actually started like in the 1970s, but. Like once we I guess our people started getting it, it was more like kind of put like poor people welfare with on Black folks or whatever. So now it's like people don't really want to give to like have, say they got their hard-earned money going to welfare recipients these poor Black people and this and that
But Mr. Justin, if you look at the percentage they got the Black race as the welfare people, but we are not the highest percentage. Actually, it's the Caucasian race that's the highest. We're put on that because, of course, it will be shown upon us as being lazy and this and that. But when also a lot of us boast about getting the services, but those with the highest percentage that receive it, they don't boast about receiving it. So that's another reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. And another thing, as far as the whole welfare thing with the Black community, it's another like touchy subject, but it's really kind of destroying us, the people, because as far as like just say a single mother, like this, mother here with 11 kids, she's completely taken care of by the government. She's probably got free housing, free, the food stamps, the TANF, all the, all these different incentives, and like if she do have a man, he can't be in the house. Like I know there's a lot of restrictions on like if you have a man in the house, you can't get these type of benefits. So pretty much it's like like as far as the man role, it's like he's pretty much getting eliminated out of the process. Because like he's supposed to be the protective provider. These type of things, for the female, but she got the government taking care of it, so, it's kind of, breaking up the families, All right, and then, so before I go to my next one, I want to know, do anyone know what's the #1 killer of Black people in this country? Like the #1 thing that's killing us?
Drugs.
Health.
Each other.
Health. What else? Other
Black
Black people?
Black on Black crime.
Black on Black crime.
Drugs.
All right, let's see. Survey says.
HIV.
Nope. Abortions. The #1 killer. And if you look at the numbers, you can see like like a lot of people say HIV, homicide, what else? Diabetes, health issues. All that equals up to about 285,000. But if you look at it, abortions alone per year, this is per year, 365,705 per year, every year. And if you look at the next graph to the right of it, this is since 1973. We aborted 13, this is more than any other race, any other group. We've aborted 13 million babies. And if you look at the background on abortions, like I always say, look at the pad, do your own research, but if you look at it how it originally started, you can see these guys here. You see it says like Margaret Sanger. I don't know if anyone familiar with Margaret Sanger, but she's the person that created the whole birth control. It was first, before it was Planned Parenthood, it was birth control centers. So she created birth control centers, and like when she first came out, she was more or less saying that a woman should, should have a right to choose. If she don't want to have a baby yet, she can have abortion. She can not have abortion, but she can have, birth control, and she can have a baby later on. But what they fail to tell you, like, if you do more research on her, she's actually a member of the KKK. And she's also a member of this thing called the Eugenics Society. I don't know if anyone familiar with Eugenics Society? But as far as the Eugenics Society, they want to create like a perfect race, kind of like the Nazis. They want to like, blue eyes, blonde hair type thing. Yeah, so as far as Margaret Sanger, she pretty much, like, there's quotes and everything, you can do your research on it. But she actually said that she don't want this to get out, but like her exact quote said, we don't want this to get out to the public or to make this public knowledge, but we want to actually eliminate the black race, and we want to kill them before they come out the womb. So like get them, like, she don't want that. They didn't want it to be a bloody, kind of like the Jewish Holocaust. They didn't want to make it like that, but they're like, if we can do it like without getting our hands dirty and like create like a social condition, like now I know me and my wife even talked about it. We're talking about having kids or whatever, and like even like I told her, I want to wait to have kids and so I can better provide and this and that or whatever. And then we were talking about like if we do have kids, like it kind of tells me like we don't want to bring any kids into this world because this world is so wicked and so many pretty much our conditions, our social condition, like all this gang violence and like you say, like all these other death, homicide, and black on black crime. So like nobody really want to even bring a kid into this type of world, But like other people, they're living like lavish, they're living, perfect type lives almost, But like, for the black race, it's like, we have an abortion and go ahead and kill a baby before they're even born. So, okay, my next slide, let me see. All right, next slide is more on drugs and diseases. And as far as black people, it's we have like the most health issues like of anyone. We got the cancer, diabetes, AIDS, HIV, whatever else you can think of, And then also with the drug situation, it's more or less, you got, like as far as like crack cocaine, that was like the main thing that really hit the community. It really kind of destroyed it. But as far as diseases, you got to do your research on that. This one guy, he actually wrote a book and said like how he created AIDS. Like it said like it was created in Africa, like somebody, did it with a monkey or something, and they brought it back to the village, and then all started spreading, throughout Africa or whatever. But same thing with Ebola. They said the same thing, but like there's documentation showing government involvement in everything. As far as trying to create this type of drug. This type of virus. To kill off people and everything. And also do more research on, it's called the syphilis. I don't know if anyone heard of this, the syphilis experiment. It was in Tuskegee. Yeah, but it was an experiment they did on some veterans. So like as far as like all this free healthcare, free this, free that, but they offered it on these veterans, group of black veterans, about 60 of them. But they offered all of them free healthcare. But they actually did this experiment on them, and they actually did the experiment, and they let it go on for about 60 years. And so like you started in like the 1910, 1920, and they like somebody actually like blew the whistle on it, so they found out. Probably would have went longer, but they gave them syphilis, and they wanted to see the effects of what would happen, once they get out into society. And then like everybody they affected their wife, their children, a whole bunch of other people, and it just kept going on, somebody blew the whistle on it. So as far as the drugs and diseases, it's a lot of background behind it. Even with the drugs, like just say AIDS and HIV, I'm pretty sure like a lot of these different issues, different diseases. I know there's probably cures for it, but you got to look at it from a like I say economic standpoint. You can give somebody a cure for like HIV. Like just say like all the people in Africa, like most of them, like a lot of people got AIDS and HIV. So that's probably like 100,000, probably like 1 million people almost. You give these people, the cure, then, that's it. But if you give them medicine that they got to take for the rest of their life, they got to pay for this medicine, so they got to keep making money off of it, So, look at the economics of this type of stuff. The next one, gang violence, as we say, the black on black crime type stuff. As far as gang violence, it's just, how, you got to look at the background again, do your own investigation on it, but as far as gang violence, like the main two gangs are the Crips and the Bloods, right? And do you know what the Crips and Bloods stand for? No. Anyone? Excuse me. As far as the Crips, the original name is the Community revolution and progress. And then Bloods it stands for brotherly love overcomes oppression and destruction. So these groups were created. They were created in like the 1960s, and it was mainly like young African American men. And during the 60s, it was a lot of segregation, a lot of races, stuff like that. So they pretty much was a group to protect their community. It was protect against like segregation, hate crime, police brutality, stuff like that. But like you'll see with other type of organizations like the Black Panthers and even like Dr. King, Malcolm X, like FBI got in and infiltrated their groups, and they pretty much turned each other against one another. They'll this person shoot this person, they'll say, well, it was this gang or that gang, and then they've been fighting. Like even now it's like it's still Crips and Bloods. And like you ask a Crip or Blood, like why you don't like the Blood, why you don't like the Crips? Well, they got blue on, they got red, and now they're killing each other because of their colors, And even like even the area, they're 4th Street, 5th Street, West Side, East Side. These properties that they fight over, they don't even own these properties, So like they can get kicked out at any moment, but they dying for these certain properties. All right, my next one. Let me see. This is another big one. I know like as far as like the music and the media, I know a lot of people say, well, that's just entertainment. It's just it's a good beat to the music and this and that. But if you look, I'm gonna try to touch on all these real fast. But like if you look at the rappers, you see 50 Cent, Lil Wayne, and Lil Jon. And if you notice, pretty much as far as like the rap industry, some of my older folks, it all like pretty much goes on like a trend. Like they say back in the 80s, it was more of like a political type movement. They had to, fight the power and. All these other groups like that, and then after that, it was the big change when it went to like more like the gangster rap scene. Like the NWA came out, Ice Cube and Dre and all them, and then and like that whole change. Like there's a documentary around that as well if you want to watch it. But pretty much like once you went from like the political movement to the to the gangster rap type music, it was a guy. I think he's like a Jewish guy, but he said that they pretty much like a lot of like the Jewish community, more like the white community or whoever, they start taking over all the like the music industries. So they start signing these different artists. So like at first it was like more of a like a kind of like a black owned type thing, and then it kind of transitioned. So like the first group that was signed was NWA, but this Jewish guy, and I'm not sure of his name right now, but you can do your research on him. But he said that he didn't really like the whole message. It was like too political, and he wanted to make it like more of a change or whatever. So he signed NWA, and then it was more like gangster rap, cursing and this and that. Fight against whoever, gang violence and all that. And then after that, there was another transition, which you went to the whole bling bling area. The all that, Master P, whoever, Pimp C, Bun B, and then after that, it kind of transitioned to a. Let's see. The next one, I think it was more Lil Jon after that. Was the crunk music, throw gang signs on somebody's face, throw a club, tearing the club, and 3-6 Mafia, stuff like that. And then after that, it went to the whole 50 Cent type of cat. And like as far as 50 Cent, it was more of a, like this is like the description of a rapper. Like if you ain't been shot at least 9 times. You ain't been to jail, and you ain't having your pants sagging and wearing a bulletproof vest down there, or in some type of gang or whatever. Then you're not really a true rapper, It was more like being about that life, I guess, And then like right now it's more of like the music is more like promoting drugs and like really promoting strippers. What's that Usher song? What's the Usher song? The new one? Yeah, make that money and talking about the stripper, in the club, and that'll make you a hoe and this and that, So that's the whole trend, that's going is, it's like just filling our head up with nonsense or whatever. And then the other point is, I don't know if you guys know, I'm pretty sure my older cats know this guy. Oh, hold on. Sorry, give me 1 second. Alright, do anyone know this guy here? Steve Urkel. This guy, he pretty much set us back. Like, as far as like just intellectual black guys, you know, it's like, you know, it's the whole thing. Like, I hear a lot of young people say, like, you know, a lot of us young black folks or whatever, we say, like, you know, if you're trying to be intelligent or smart, you're like, you know, you're a nerd or you're Steve Urkel or whatever, you know, or even like if you're trying to be smart or whatever, they're saying like you're trying to be white, you know, and then like as far as being black, it's like, you know, like the whole definition of like being black and being white. Like if you're black, then you know, it's like you got to be ghetto and hood and loud and whatever, you know. And then like if you're white or whatever, or, you know, trying to be white, you're trying to be like a Steve Urkel, or even like, you know, the first Prince of Bel-Air came out and you had Carlton and you had Will Smith, you know. And like, so like you're trying to be like really, you know, smart and educated, you're like Carlton, you know, all preppy, nerdy. If you're cool, you know, whatever, you're more, you know, the Will Smith character. Or even like the rapper character, you know, you're more like a 50 Cent. So like the whole Steve Urkel thing, once he came out, it kind of, you know, set us back or whatever for like, you know, being intelligent or whatever. All right, the next couple ones, well, this last one, not the last one, but the guy at the bottom middle, do anyone know the guy at the bottom?
Sam?
Yes.
Michael Sam.
Who's that football game? Huh? Oh, nobody care about him. They let him go. They got real thing.
Okay, yeah, as far as Michael Sam, he, it's like as far as the whole gay thing that's going on, the gay movement, I'm not, you know, against any, you know, gay people or anything like that, you know. You know, if you want to be gay, then, you know, or, you know, whatever you do in your, you know, in your spare time or whatever, like behind closed doors, you know, like what me and my wife do behind closed doors, like in the bedroom, that's our business, you know. So like as far as like you want to be gay, you know, that's your business behind closed doors. But, you know, this guy, he was the first, you know, openly gay NFL player. So once he came out, you know, it was like national TV. Once he came out, he got to meet the president. He got to be on the Oprah show. He got all kind of endorsements. He was on the cover of all kind of magazines. You know, he had a reality show and everything. You know, so you know, like not just him, but like the whole, like every show that we see, like, you know, I know a lot of people like Empire and Scandal and the new Tyler Perry show. You know, all these shows are showing like more homosexuality stuff or whatever. So it's like, you know, it's like if you're like, if somebody say that they coming out and being a homosexual, then it's like they're like getting elevated to like a high standard. They can actually meet the president. You know, you know. So what is that telling? You know, what type of message that, you know, what type of message they're giving us? You know, it's more like, you know, propaganda type thing. All right, and then the other quotes here that I have, like as far as this guy, Jim Morrison, he said, "Whoever controls the media controls the mind." So like it's for like mass media, you know, like, you know, we, you know, most of us, you know, we watch a lot of TV, you know, we see a lot of commercials and this and that, you know, so it's kind of like, you know, telling us, you know, different things, like they say subliminal messages, you know, so like, you know, you see that a lot. As far as like these messages, like even like, you know, I did another paper on as far as like different movies that come out. But if you notice in a lot of these movies that come out, it's usually like there's like let's just say an action movie. Usually like you know, like Tom Cruise and all these other characters. Even like just say the latest movie like Will Smith and even like Denzel. But like who are they usually trying to save in these movies? You know, there's always like, you know, somebody they're trying to save. And, you know, for the most part, it's usually like some Caucasian woman, you know, for the most part. You'll never really see them trying to save like a sister that, you know, a black chick. It's usually like, you know, just think about it. You know, they're like, you know, like this type of message or whatever. Like even like, you know, these other sitcoms that are out, like just say like Empire and Scandal, you know, it's like, you know, like just think with Scandal, you know, you got Olivia Pope and she's like, you know, going crazy over the white president, and then you got the other guy, you know, these two guys she's fighting for, and then like if there are any episodes or any TV show that do have like a, you know, a black, you know, a black man and a black female, it's like so dysfunctional, you know. It's like you don't see no, like the Cosby Show. You remember the Cosby Show? It was like more of a, you know, Claire and Bill, they were, you know, together, you know. But like any show you see now, it's like a black man, black woman. It's like they just cannot get along anymore, you know. So you know, it's like kind of another message. And then the guy in the middle, you know, my man, this my guy, you know, Malcolm X. You know, he pretty much said, I can barely read it here, I'm sorry. But he said, the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. and that's power, because they control the minds of the masses. So this is another thing I want to hand out to you guys. And that's just another article. I'm sorry, I can't put it on here on the big screen, but it's pretty much saying, as far as like how the news is reported, and you know, like as far as like the whole Trayvon Martin and the Trayvon Martin killing, and then also the Michael Brown, you know, things like that. You know, it's like on this article it says black victim. No, I'm sorry. Let me see the front page of it. It says black victim versus white murderer. So you'll see, like when they put the news out there, they'll have like just say for a white guy, like just say if he like a young white guy, whatever, he saw up a movie theater, saw up a school, they'll say he was a brilliant, you know, all A student, a God-fearing, you know, Mormon and this and that. But if a black, you know, victim that got shot up, they'll say, well, he was, you know, suspended from school. He was
child support.
He owed child support money. He was, you know, he's been to jail before, you know, back 15 years ago or something. You know, it's always something negative. You know, it's not like they already paint a picture of this guy. So it's like, even like now, you know, if a black guy gets shot up, you know, it's like, you know, in our mind it's like, well, what did he do? You know, like he's already guilty. You know, like, well, what did he do? You know, but if a white guy did it, like, well, you know, something had to be going on. You know, he had family issues. He had this going on. You know, it's like it's some type of excuse. So, you know, just, you know, look over that article. You'll see like the, you know, the big differences in it. All right, and then my next slide. There's a funny picture here on the top right here. But this is the whole, I would say, self-destruction, self-hate. But this is what like the condition that, you know, a lot of black folks are in now. You know, and like I've been seeing it, like, you know, a lot of people on Facebook and Instagram and this type of stuff. But you know, I notice a lot now. It's like females are fighting now. You know, a bunch of females, you know, fighting, killing each other almost. You know, you see this chick dragging her hair off her head. You know, and then you know, as far as the guys, you know, it's like, you know, especially with the music, it's like, you know, make that money, you know, like any means necessary. So, you know, see this guy with all his money, and I don't know if you see in the background, look like, you know, he got, you know, cooking up something, you know, the whole trap king, trap queen, all that type of stuff, yeah, I call it. You know, but he like, you know, he's selling this to his own people pretty much, you know, so he's making money, but he's killing, you know, he's killing his customers. You know, you can't make a product that's going to kill your customers or your people. And then the other part is the whole, you know, the skin lightening thing. I don't know if you guys heard of that, you know, but like a lot of people, like it's like me and my daughter watched this video the other day, and it was like middle school and high school kids, but they were talking about light-skinned versus dark-skinned. And you know, in our community, it's a big thing as far as light-skinned, dark-skinned, you know. And like, you know, there was this guy like as dark as me, you know, and he was like, I hate dark-skinned chicks. He like, they all look ashy and dirty and, you know, all kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, you're a dark-skinned brother yourself, you know, but it's like, you know, a lot of, you know, and then like, you know, with the, you know, a lot of dark-skinned people are like, well, I don't like light-skinned people because, you know, they're light-skinned, they think they're better than us because they're closer to white or whatever, you know, and then the light-skinned people, you know, they say the dark-skinned people look, you know, crusty or whatever, you know, so, you know, you can see like these people, you know, you remember this guy, Sammy Sosa? That's Sammy Sosa, the baseball player. But look at him now. You know, he done lighten himself up. You know, a lot of you know as far as like Michael Jackson. You know his whole transformation. You know, but you know a lot of people are doing this. You know, and then well the picture at the top right. You know, that just kind of speaks for itself. You know, see, just you know wants some attention or whatever. You know, you know just wants some love from anybody. You know. And then as far as the guy, like you see the big cars and everything. You know, it's like, you know, we do have money. You know, what are we doing with this money? It's like, you know, we getting big rims and tires and making our inside our cars look like spaceships. You know, for what? You know, who are we trying to impress? You know, it's like, you know, instead of, you know, getting our money actually building, you know, the community and building jobs, it's like we spending on the, you know, the most ridiculous stuff. All right, my next slide, we'll kind of take a little break and get after this, but religion, I know it's a touchy subject. I don't want y'all to kill me and nothing. But as far as religion, as far as like this religion on the like an economic standpoint, as far as religion, back in like I always say, look at the past, but back in like Martin Luther King days, back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, the church was more like, you know, I know everybody, you know, they say, you know, give your offering, tie, give your money and everything. As far as that, how I look at it is like, as far as like, if you're giving this money, to the church, you're not really giving it, and it's like, God said you're giving your money and everything, but like, you're not giving your money exactly to God, you know what I'm saying, or not God or Allah or, whoever, you pray to. It's going to the church, and, I can look at it like you're going to, God's people. So if it's going to His people, then, like back in like the 50s, 60s, they used this actual money to actually build up the community. They was actually, a main source of creating jobs, providing jobs, helping with, resumes, everything. They was, the central point of the community. But now, especially with these, these preachers, around here, you see, I got a breakdown of each one of them, but there's Eddie Long, T.D. Jakes, Creflo Dollar. Have you heard of Creflo Dollar? When he tried to get his, his congregation to get him a $65 million jet. Yeah. So if you look at all these, like I got a breakdown of them, but Eddie Long, his net worth is $5.2 million, but his annual income of like his followers is like 25,000. For his average followers. So like, instead of, him, giving back, he's, keeping that money, he got all his mansions and cars and etc. The next one, I'm sorry, hold on. Creflo Dollar, like I said before, he's making about 25 million per year, but his average income for his followers is about 30,000. This next guy's name is Inche. In the bottom right, he's actually a Nigerian pastor, and his actual average income here it says is about $100 million of his income. But in Nigeria, their actual average income is about $4 per day, which equals $1,460 annually for his actual congregation. But he's making that much money off of them. Then the last guy, T.D. Jakes, I don't know if these numbers are correct, but he says he's over 100 million as well. And his average followers are about 40,000. So like all this money that they are pouring into the church, just think if they would take that extra money, put it into like a community bank, in that community, the people in the community can go to that bank, get loans out, build their businesses right there in the community. But instead, they take their money and then they go get jets and houses and, their own pleasure. So, that's, a whole nother subject. I wasn't going to do this, but I just have another question too. As far as the guy in the middle, who's the guy in the middle?
I don't know. Somebody who
it's an image.
Okay.
An image.
Good. And that's my whole point. I know a lot of people say like, the image doesn't matter, what color, it doesn't matter. But like you really do your research on that.
If you did that, then why not change?
Yeah, exactly. Because before the 1500s, every image or most of the images of Jesus was black. There was no like white image, but like back in the 1500s, they went on a crusade like around the world to replace the black image. Like even they had like the black Madonna and child. A lot of people still worship, black Madonna and child, but around the country they went and changed the image, the color, Jesus. So do your research on that and understand why they changed the image and the color, because like a lot of people say it don't matter, but you understand like the psychology of it. Like really, even like in the slave time, they changed the color or whatever. So a lot of people say like, so like if you're praying to like a white God, that's more like a what they call it. I forgot the name of it, but it's like if your God is white, then the guy that's over you, is pretty, is a white guy or whatever. So you can't really fight against him because he's like God-like, So do your research on it. All right, so real quick, so why is this going on? And I'll just read through this briefly. It says we are on average are very, very poor people usually. They usually live below the poverty line. But as a unit, we spend about 1.1. We're a very dependent group of people. We don't produce anything. And in most cases, not even our own shoes, clothes, or underwears. We can't truly provide any jobs or sustainable living for our community. A large majority survive and depend on welfare. But that too still has they too still have the latest cell phones, clothes, and etc. We no longer have a strong male leadership. Most of them in jail or gang-type violence, thugs, gangsters, or or a lot of them are actually gay now. Excuse me. As far as the females, a lot of females are pretty much getting paid by the government, so they no longer really need a man to provide for them. You know, so and then a lot of them don't want to be with that type of described male, the thug or gay guy, none of that type of stuff. And like I said, with the music, it's infested with drugs, sex, violence, which causes our community to act in the same type of fashion. Plus, we actually glorify this type of lifestyle. I hear a lot of people say, "I'm a thug, I'm a gangster, I'm a real B," or all that. We try to live up to these type of stereotypes. And then the same thing with our TV shows and our music. It's pretty much filled with the same garbage as our movies are pretty much filled with the same type of garbage as our music. And then as far I told you, as far as the abortion rate is very high, due to like all the negative propaganda. And then we also have a lot of things that happened in the past, like I said, as far as like the slavery, KKK, Jim Crow, Black Code, disenfranchisement, FBI, and then it pretty much caused us not to trust each other. And we also seem to be caught up with this this so-called American dream, to get rich or die trying, or get ahead by any means necessary. So how do we fix it? As a group, we have no true economy for ourselves. Therefore, our group has no one else to turn to. So we give our money to everyone else's economy in order to survive. If we could provide our people with our own jobs, clothes, food, etc., then we wouldn't have to have our young men out on the streets, robbing, stealing, selling drugs and so forth. They can become actual leaders again. As far as our young men, we would be able to. Our young men would be able to work and provide a living for their families, which in turn would prevent the women from having to depend on the welfare or selling their bodies or whatever to make ends meet. And this should improve the household situation. Furthermore, these conditions change. If these conditions change, then the rappers and media would no longer have a reason to rap or talk about the struggle and selling drugs and sex and so forth. So without a true economy, everyone else practically can tell your story and paint you whatever image they see fit. Our history and education is distorted. Our religion is second-handed and distorted. Our portrayal in movies, magazines, TV shows are very stereotypical. Therefore, millions of blacks are confused about themselves and have a lot of self-hatred and try to live up to these images and characters that they put out for us to follow. All right, so next we're gonna do this little Monopoly game. So we can go ahead and take a quick break if y'all need to take a break. I know y'all kind of hot, so we'll stop here and then we'll do the Monopoly game. Thank you. Whew.
You stop. Stop.
Maybe that way for a while.
All right, so we're gonna do this quick game of Monopoly, and I'll just go over the rules real fast. All right, so y'all two here, Yanni and Quincy, y'all have the majority of the money on the board. Y'all actually don't have any property, but I got like most of the money. I got about 78,000. As far as Khalid and Kendrick, y'all don't really have too much money, but y'all have all the properties. You have one side of the board, he has the other side of the board. So as far as the quick rules, whoever has property, you guys can make pretty much under the table type deal. So if you land on each other's property, you don't really have to pay each other. Whoever don't have property, if you land on somebody else's property, the only thing you got is money. Y'all don't have anything else to trade or no property, no houses, no land, no nothing. So only way you can pay them is pretty much, with your money. So we'll go ahead and start the game. Y'all already picked, what characters y'all want to play with. So Mr. Quincy, you can go ahead and roll and go ahead and start.
$1,000, buddy.
All right, and then and that's another rule. Like if you land on any one of these properties with houses and a hotel, we're just gonna assume that it's $1,000. So, and if you land on like a railroad or a electric company, water company, it'll be $500. All right, so Quincy landed on Khalid's property, so that's $1,000 right there.
I'm loyal. I'm gonna get your money anyway.
You was giving him a tip or something? You big dog like that, big ball.
Okay. Wait, the dog. Here you go. Keep going to where you at.
So he landed on Khalid's property.
I landed on your property.
They both have properties. So there you go. They're good. You got the underground deal. Okay. Go ahead, Yanni.
We don't get no chance.
Y'all got money, you know.
I got all the money. Not even that much.
What's that?
Oh, she left out. She visiting somebody
Wait,
in
I'm
the
going
gym.
to jail.
You're visiting. Go ahead, Khalid. You got lucky, Yanni.
You lucked out.
I'm saying, like, you'd rather be in jail than actually do anything.
Here you go. Thank you.
All right.
7. That's on you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh.
That's $500.
500.
No tip. Don't make it rain.
That's his own property. Go ahead, Yanni.
Man, no more property. 2. Look.
Oh, that's $500.
$500.
Yeah.
Get to keep your lights on.
Got to pay that electricity bill. It's hot out here in Texas.
No, that's expensive.
It could be. Texas.
No. What?
Illinois. That's another $1,000.
Dang. He ain't even made it on the board yet. He got 3 G's. Oh, yeah.
He's somewhere to live.
Thank you. Well, you keep giving me tips.
Extra.
You give me 5 of them.
He like I'm fighting the rappers.
Yeah, that's what he is. Like he a football player.
Yeah.
He like Mayweather just bought them 100 calls.
Yeah. He's a famous athlete. All right, go ahead, Yanni.
Big man.
10. Where you at? No, you got
Chance.
Ooh, she
All right, flip over the red cards.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
You say, have any
Tilly. Oh, that's
Double.
$100.
They say pay double or 10 times.
Oh, and you gotta pay double. So yeah, that's $1,000.
That's $1,000?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Cause
You got your water bill, you got your electricity,
you got behind on your payments.
payments.
Yeah, money.
You was visiting that joker in jail. You had to pay the old bus fare to get up there.
Go ahead,
I'll pay it next month.
So we got the famous football player. What are you, Yanni? You're an actor? Or?
I'm a pediatrician.
Oh, you better go on. Don't bond out.
That's like the best place for you.
That's a shame. That's a shame. That's the best
Jail
place.
is the best place, huh?
Say some
You
money.
gotta pay nobody. You get 3 meals a day. Good. Yeah.
I ain't never thought about that.
Y'all ain't even gonna pay nothing.
I can get you.
Where I'm at?
Oh man.
Oh,
Another $1,000.
Ooh, 1,000.
That's
I'm broke.
You didn't get this. Appreciate it.
He was famous like Beyonce. He gave you out that big contract. You ain't get no profit or nothing. You just
Well, she got her pediatrician office open. But she got no bills.
Yeah.
Y'all just worked out
Thanks for
deal.
the deal, yeah.
You get paid rolled up.
You get
Oh,
rolled.
you automatically out once you roll. We can make you go fast.
Oh,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead,
Go
roll.
ahead and roll.
For real, yeah.
You want to stay in jail? That's a shame.
Come on.
But
Oh,
you know,
man.
you on Kentucky.
another G.
That's who is that? Elite.
Ooh, he gave him tip again. He got hit too many times.
Remind me, that
on that food.
way.
Don't check.
Never to give you any cash.
Don't check.
That's like what
3
3
times.
times.
Same person.
3 times in a row. You never get no extra money.
And he checked.
Yeah. I checked just in case. Where you at?
Alright, go ahead, Yanni.
3 times.
You didn't make these.
That's life, though. You should have said that was 2 G's.
I know.
You should have said that's 2 G's.
Yeah,
That's
it'd be 2
downtown.
G's, huh? That's 2 G's. Yeah. That's the balling area. That's the
It's 2
Beverly
G's?
Hills. Yeah.
Boardwalk is what, 4? With 5,000?
Thank you. Thank you.
Alright, go ahead, Khalid.
I'm broke now. 6.
How many thousands you got left?
Which card?
I don't have none.
Oh, go ahead, you can pull it.
Which one?
The yellow.
Community checks, paid hospital, $100. Where'd I go?
No, you can do it. Six, where is he at?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You gotta get that money up. You gonna
$1,000.
Stop paying them short because it's gonna be right. When you pay them the correct amount.
It's me.
My last
Keep going.
$1,000.
You pay me too.
That's how them rappers and NBA players are.
Tree.
They get their big contract and you don't get nothing, no profit, nothing.
I only got $1,500.
Wait 2 weekends.
Give me some, guys.
How roll is it? Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Go ahead, pay 15. I like it.
Made you feel some type of way though, a little bit.
You this one?
Community
That's
check.
why I made you feel some type of way a little bit. Just a little bit.
Which is this one?
Put it in.
Yellow.
Oh, that mean I get that much?
Look at Jesus.
You ain't heard $100.
Everybody.
You needed it, you're waiting for that exercise.
Okay, so what happened if you get bankrupt?
Christmas strong.
Collect some money from your man, Yanni.
$100.
He ain't even got
I give it to you.
nothing.
He lost it. I thought he was fine.
No.
We broke.
Those.
Oh,
They took me back.
Oh, look.
Another 1,000.
You ought to be broke by now.
He cracked a piggy bank. Cracked a piggy bank.
It's 2 or 3. A lot of money. This would do nice for a Sweet 16.
No.
Right.
Alright, go ahead, Yanni. Go back to jail and I really go there.
12.
Oh. That's good.
That's
11, 12.
Yeah, Virginia.
Where I'm at?
That's 1,000.
Oh, that's
1,000? I'm broke.
Oh,
I thought it was 2,000.
man. You get it?
Oh, that's to you. That's to you.
This is not
It's
$1,000.
not $1,000.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Can't do
You
it.
sure?
Nope.
Okay.
It's okay.
His teacher's not for us.
Yeah, she won at
I'm
Honda.
done.
Supposed to be fine.
Yo, I'm broke.
Go ahead, Khalid.
I collect some money for 1, 2, 3, 4. Pay myself again. $500.
Gee, you broke me.
That's up. I took out his big bill. Sorry.
Go ahead, Khalid.
Tree.
All right, Yanni.
Good on
Go
you.
ahead, roll. Oh, that's it for you.
It's only 180.
No, he got that property on there.
Yeah.
He bought that land.
Taxes went up.
Then he bought that property.
So, hold on. So, where you giving him the money?
What money?
What you got? That's it?
I got $600.
All right, so I guess we can stop here, but as you can see, once he has no more money now, now what? Now what would you do? Like, if you do it in real life, what would you have to do then?
Here you go.
You have to try to get a loan. If you get a loan has interest rates on it, so
You gotta give me $1,000 back.
yeah, he'll give you 600, and then like he said, you owe him, 1,000 after this amount of time or whatever. Or if not, then you know where he's resort to stripping and all this other stuff. So it's that's pretty much like my whole point of this whole little exercise is like you gotta have property, you gotta have ownership. Like if you don't have ownership property, then you pretty much you can get all this money. People can give you a job. You can make this amount of money at this job, but like at any moment they can take it away from you. Like you ain't got the land of the business that you own, and like they can keep raising the price. He could have said, well, you land on my property, I want to pay you $1,500 now or $2,000. You could have kept going up. These two, they both had all kind of property, so they compete with each other. So they can pretty much go into business and like, okay, well, I'm on your property, you're on my property, and we're gonna just make an agreement that we ain't gotta pay each other nothing. So that's the whole point of it. Y'all pretty much understand. When we going on, y'all had all the money to begin with, and now, look where the money now.
Hold a couple more times. We're gonna see who got the money.
Y'all can go back.
$7,000.
Y'all can go back to your seats, and I'll go ahead and finish up real fast. End of the presentation. All right, everybody ready? Thank you again for the Monopoly game. So we're going to finish. There's a couple more slides we're going to get to. So as far as the whole Monopoly game, the next slide is just basically like showing how we can actually build an economy. This next slide is just showing like a whole food chain supply, like just say a restaurant, like a Walmart or something, Sam's. But you start from the like the actual like farming, agriculture. So you have like farming type jobs. Then from there you have like the processing and agriculture, and then you need distribution. So like say you're a truck driver. So you have ownership of a truck driving company. You can have other black people drive the trucks and everything. And then the actual factory itself, you have workers into that factory. If you build your own factory, then the distribution again, then the warehouse type center. And then distribution to the actual stores, and then within the store you can have your managers or retail personnel. But that creates so many more jobs within the economy, just from that whole chain of grocery stores. And then this is just another further breakdown. Like I put like the Black Farmers Association, which is still around. The distribution, agriculture, the warehouse, and then also technology. You can put technology in each one of those fields, to create more jobs. As far as the other approaches to it that you can look at, like that whole concept can work. Just like if you're trying to do like shoes, clothing, that type of market. You have the ground, from the ground up. Like no middleman. But from the ground up, you have the marketing side, the people that make the materials, the products, the warehouse, the distribution, sales, transportation. Even the home building. You need a lumber company, you need builders, designers, plumbers, stuff like that, even hospitals, entertainment facilities, schools. You can fill your whole economy with these people to work these type of jobs. All right. As far as the effects on the community, if we it says we will no longer need to depend on everyone else's economy to succeed and survive. If we all have, if all of these business owners invest in each other's business, we can have better establishments such as schools and hospitals and other opportunities. We can have banks which everyone in the community would put their money towards. And I don't know if y'all understand how the banks work, but pretty much like all these banks that give out all these huge loans, they usually don't have that amount of money in the actual banks. It's based off of like I forgot, like interest type of money. You know, like based off a loan type amount. So like, you know, they can give like, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars out in loans, but they don't actually have that in their bank. So like it's mainly based off of what they have in inventory. So like if everybody in the community is putting money in this bank, that's the more that they can actually loan out. You know, so you know, like it actually starts supporting those type of banks and credit unions. You know, so like, you know, other people can actually get loans from there within the community. We can provide our people with better opportunities to support their families. Therefore, we won't have to sell. You know, they won't have to sell their soul to the devil and disrespect themselves and anything of that nature. You know, as far as like the news and the music and movies, all that should change as well if we do have an actual better type of economy. The community will be much stronger, and it shouldn't, you know, we shouldn't allow any like drugs and violence and all that in our community if everybody is actually working, you know, and actually have jobs and everything. Because that's the main thing as far as like poverty, like with poverty and no jobs usually causes more violence and everything in the community. It usually causes more conflict if, you know, people's not working or not, you know, don't have a job and everything. All right, so just say, what if we don't do anything? You know, what if we do nothing? The trend of propaganda and music. And as far as propaganda, y'all know what like propaganda means?
False advertisement.
Somewhat. Yeah, pretty much kind of like false advertisement. It's pretty much trying to get people to act a certain way or be a, you know, certain type of thing. Like you're trying to get into people's mind. Like just say I always use the example with Hitler. So like, you know, back in Hitler days, he got like, you know, he killed like millions of people, you know, Jewish people, black people, everybody. But you know, it wasn't just him that killed all these people. You know, he got the whole country pretty much to kill these people. And if you actually do the research on Hitler, you would see that he actually ran this propaganda campaign. So he painted Jewish people to be like, you know, dirty, trashy people. Like, you know, you get around them, they're gonna do this and that to you or whatever. So like when people start actually killing, you know, Jewish people or whatever, or other people, you know, that, you know, Hitler persuaded them to kill, you know, like it was like nothing. Like kind of like now, like with like you look at black people now, you know, like, you know, black man is shot or whatever, a black black boy is shot. You know, it's like, you know, like, well, you know, he was gonna be, you know, a felon, or he was gonna be evil anyway, you know. So, you know, we're doing the, you know, community a favor pretty much. You know, we're doing the nation a favor. We get rid of them or whatever. So that's kind of like propaganda. You know, it's already, you know, planting the seed. You know, saying that this people, this guy is already bad or whatever. All right, so like I said, the trend will continue. As far as the stereotypes, the diseases, the man-made diseases, the goal of drugs, all that will continue to flood our community. The gang violence and prison system that will continue to kill our young people, destroy their futures. Our women will continue to raise you know, children, you know, single-parent homes. They'll have to, you know, keep dependent on everyone else, you know, and you know, everybody else's community and everything. And they have to continue to, you know, sell themselves and their dignity and everything in order to survive. And we ultimately end up killing ourselves off because our death rate and our birth rate is our death rate is becoming higher than our birth rate. So this is what the future is currently looking like. And you'll see, you know, the fighting and everything. And like I say, this in the middle here with the graph, it shows what our birth rate used to be. And you see that line, and then the blue dotted line is, you know, continually going down. That's, you know, our birth rate that's continually going down in the country. And then also, you know, you see as far as like the whole Jordan thing and, you know, what we, you know, value. And, you know, you see the guy, he don't even got the shoes on his feet. He's eating the shoe. You know, he don't know what to do with the you know, stuff. And the people out here, you know, fighting, you know, packing Foot Locker and everything, fighting over it. You know, the skin bleaching, the prison system. You know, this guy, he got all his money. He's eating the money, you know, but he's not, you know, doing what he should be doing with the money, you know. And then, you know, so that's what the future currently looks like. But if we have economics, this is what I see, you know, the future actually being. You know, you see, you know, the family back together. You see the, you know, the young kids there, the young boys there. you know, the men, you know, look at all the graduates there, you know, standing holding hand in hand, you know, see the family back together again. And then as far as the next slide, I say, you know, we did it before, we can do it again. Like, you know, as you can see, like I got the Black Wall Street here. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with Black Wall Street. It's a good documentary if you want to watch it, but a little history on it, like pretty much, you know, back in the after slavery days, 1865, it was a whole Jim Crow and black codes and this and that. So, you know, black people, you know, you saw the civil rights thing with, you know, white only, black only, stuff like that. So Black Wall Street was you know, all the black people pretty much migrating, you know, more north or whatever. So once they migrated, for the most part, they, you know, got, you know, they pretty much was on their own. So they had to, you know, the only people they can depend on was themselves. So they built up this big economy, and it was like the biggest thing was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was, you know, like you see here, 600 businesses, 21 churches, restaurants, grocery stores, movie theaters. You know, you had law offices, you know, bus systems, everything you can think of. You know, it was all there. And you know, I know this is, you know, that was back in the past, but I have a couple more documents I'm gonna pass out now. Let me see. But there's a lot that's going on that we're not really aware of. But let me pass these out. Oh. And like I say, like a lot of this, you know, as you know, I say, well, that was in the past. You know, black people, you know, like there's a lot of negative stereotypes on like black businesses and black ownership and this and that. You know, like black people are always lazy and all kind of things like that. But these paperworks, you'll see, like especially in Africa, there's a lot that's going on in Africa, and that's a lot that, you know, as far as Africa, I know, like black America and Africa is like a lot of us seem like we don't get along, and there's like a lot of negative stereotypes with African people and black people. But you know, if you really look at it, you know, we're all like, you know, we're pretty much all one for the most part. But if you look at Africa, they're really building it up. There's this billionaire on the documents. You'll see there's this billionaire from Nigeria, and he's actually trying to create, what did he say? I think 100,000 different entrepreneurship type businesses throughout the whole continent of Africa. So they're really trying to build it up. But he's pretty much putting in $1 billion of his own money into the economy to actually build actual businesses, not just, you know, give to the poor and all that stuff. And then you also have the other Nigerian guy that was in Microsoft. He didn't be a part of Microsoft, but he actually quit Microsoft and went to Africa, and he's opened up schools, like technical schools and everything, and other different businesses throughout Africa. And then right here in the U.S., there's actually like as far as like the Black Wall Street, there's this other guy called Dr. Claude Anderson. He's actually trying to create what's called an African town in Detroit. So y'all know Detroit had like, you know, like the whole city went bankrupt. You know, the whole state went bankrupt or whatever. So he been buying a lot of property within that area, and he had this it's called a seafood. I think it's a seafood type of market that he's doing. But it's 250 square feet around. You're gonna have other businesses around it, but it's gonna be like African owned or black owned, African owned. And operating. You know, they're going to produce so many jobs within, you know, the Detroit area. And also there's one more guy named Dr. Umar Johnson, and he's actually creating schools, like private type schools throughout the country as well. And is, you know, going to teach more of, you know, African arts and other African things like African pride and stuff. But also there's going to be a leadership business type teaching. All right. And then there's also other organizations called like the 100 Black Men of America. There's the King's, the King's Foundation, and a couple other foundations that, you know, definitely, you know, you should look in and be a part of. As far as this group of people, we need to know that these are not our leaders. These people here, you know, I know everybody knows me. You probably name everyone up here. Somebody name all of them? Name them all. Go ahead.
Rick Ross, Wiz, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Drake, Rihanna, Nicki, Lil Wayne, Chris Brown. I don't remember.
Empire. Okay. All right. And I know a lot of y'all, you know, A lot of you like these people are entertainers. That's what they pay to do. You know, they're just entertainers. They're not actual leaders. But you know, I love a lot of people got the Instagram and Facebook and everything like that. So you know, like they got like 1 million followers. Like each one probably got 1 million followers. Even like a funny story with Chris Brown. My wife was talking to my mother. She's 68 years old, and my mother was like, she told me, she was like, you heard about Chris Brown? And she was like, Chris Brown wrong for that. He had a baby on that girl Karuchi, and this. And my mom was 68, so how does she know about Chris Brown and his girlfriend and all that? But you know, like you got to think about it. You know, it's like this would get pumped out, into our community all day, every day. You know, these type of people, and that's who we follow. We follow, athletes and follow, these type of people, I mean, in reality, that's what we see, like, these people are getting money, whatever, they, got this luxurious life, they all these cars and women and whatever else, they're supposed to be luxurious, but, they're not really our leaders. On the other hand, these people are our true leaders. Can anybody name me at least 3 people up here?
I got it.
Malcolm X.
Martin Luther King and Gandhi.
That's
Gandhi?
Yeah, he's not up there.
No.
Damn.
And this Bella Fun.
I don't see that.
The one in the bottom. This and he had hair Belafonte.
Nah, hair Belafonte.
I got a name too.
Yeah, I got a name too.
Yeah.
All right.
You should have had it.
Top left is Fred Hampton. He was a part of the Black Panther organization, but he actually organized the Chicago chapter, and he was the first to actually provide free healthcare and free breakfast for the youth in the community. So it was like in the 1960s, 70s, but he had a free program for every morning. All the kids in the community was free breakfast program and free healthcare. Everybody know Malcolm X. The bottom one, that's big inspiration for me, is Dr. Umar Johnson. But that's he really talks about like mainly in the schools as far as like ADHD and other type of medicine that usually that's prescribed to like more of the African American community, and do more research on ADHD, because it's pretty much they said it's like a drug that's almost equivalent to like speed and crack almost, and this is what they're giving to our kids, in the community. So he's going around and really exposing that, even in special education. If you look at the special education and everything, there's a lot of black kids that are getting put in special education, and they shouldn't really be in there or whatever. So really, do your research on him. Let's see, I go to the top right is Dr. Claude Anderson. That's what I'm talking about as far as the seafood, fresh seafood market. He also wrote a couple of books called Power Economics, but it's more like kind of like what I'm talking about now, as far as like the black community coming together and using our economics to bring us out of this type of situation that we're in. So Dr. Claude Anderson, he's still living now, whatever, but he's a really good philosopher. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. The bottom right is Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson, he's passed now. He just passed about 5 years ago, but he's actually more, you can call him like more of the father of like black history. He's one of the fathers of black history, but before like the 1970s, there was like no black people in history books in our like public system, school systems. It was mainly all Caucasian type heroes and this and that, but he pretty much exposed a lot of things, like a lot of kind of like hidden colors pretty much, but like there's a lot of influences that black people did that were pretty much covered up, and he brought it to the forefront. So now even like the black history is more because of this man. The guy on the bottom, his name is Kwame. He was the first president of Ghana. He actually took back control of Africa, that part of Africa, and became the president, but it was ruled by like British colony. And you can see his statement. It's more of it's called Pan-Africa. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Pan-Africanism, but it's pretty much like a group. It's like the red, black, and green. It's like the flag for Africa, pretty much. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, and the main guy that pretty much did that was the guy here at the top. Is Marcus Garvey. He's I say he's probably one of the most influential leaders of our time. He was in the 1920s, but this guy in the 1920s, he actually created what's called a Black Star Line. It was a couple of ships that he created, and he wanted to like this passage says, all people of African descent. Well, before I read that, as far as like black people that's like in America, South America, everywhere around the world, you know, like, you know, you pretty much know our history. As far as like slavery, we was, you know, taken all over the world pretty much. You know, some people in South America, some in Brazil, some in Jamaica, Haiti, you know, all over the world. You know, even some of Africa. I mean, not Africa, but like India and China, and you know, all over the world. But pretty much this quote, it says, you know, all people of African descent, whether they live in North or South America, the Caribbean, or any parts of the world, are Africans and belong to the African continent, African nation. Sorry. So that, you know, mainly Marcus Garvey, he pretty much promoted that, because before that it wasn't really too much like black pride or anything like that. But he created the UNIA, which is another organization for black people, and he created the flag because there was never pretty much, you know, said that statement, you know, to pretty much bring black people together, no matter where you're at in the country. You know, you're pretty much, you know, you need to support each other and, you know, be for each other for the most part. All right, so one more thing I want to pass out. I touched on it before. I kind of passed over this document, but this is the Chicago. I'll go ahead and pass it out. But this is the Chicago school that has 100% education. This is Chicago, the all-black boys' school in Chicago that the last 3 years had 100% graduation rate, and all of their kids are going to some major college now. All right, so last 2 slides here. All right, so what can we do now? Excuse me. What can we do now? Start supporting our own businesses. Find them in our neighborhoods or online. Become aware of the full life cycle of a business. Try to work with black businesses, and don't try to like compete with a black business. Like, I mean, before you compete, or I would say ruin a black business. So like, just say somebody owns a barber shop in your neighborhood. Don't go build one right next door. You know, like actually, you know, try, like, if you want to work with that person, like try to build, like, just say try to invest like with another group, of like a manufacturing company actually, like, you know, makes these type of products that a barber would use, or a hair salon would use. Or if not, you can't afford to do it, then, you know, get a barber shop on the other side of town or whatever, you know. And then, you know, also, you know, try to open up like different type of trade schools, or, you know, charter schools, you know, that actually teaches business and economics. And then as far as, like I said, with the whole banks and credits over there, you know, credit unions, you know, try to support the black-owned credit unions and banks. Also, open up businesses that are actually beneficial to the community. You know, we don't need no more strip clubs or liquor stores or none of that. You know, actually open up stuff like even like restaurants. I know, you know, everybody doing restaurants. I mean, which is a good thing. You can open up restaurants, but also, you know, we need like actual like mega type corporations. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, all the AT&T, Verizons. You know, the big mega corporations that can actually hire a massive amount of people. Because I don't think we have any business. Well, we don't have too many businesses that hire more than like, you know, like 20 employees. You know, we need like a mega type of businesses to invest in. Stop being such a consumer. Be more of a producer. You know, be able to hire, create, and provide jobs for your people within your community. Get out of the mindset of chasing money just to buy unnecessary material things like $200 pair of, you know, shoes, some big rim gold teeth. You know, get in the mindset of making things and creating jobs and opportunities, and have others pay you for your product. All right, and then, you know, this is the conclusion. And well, before I conclude, one more document I got, and I'll go ahead and conclude. Sorry, I know I got so much paper. If y'all give me your email address after this, I can send most of this to y'all. What's so funny?
We got an email.
Alright, but as far as that last document, it's just like the leaders that I just went over. There's a whole bunch of other leaders that you can actually do research on, and you know, you can watch documentaries on them. Others are like a lot of links to like a lot of different organizations and other things I talked about today. In conclusion, you know, I know a lot of people after hearing this presentation, they may conclude that it's, you know, kind of racially driven or whatever you want to call it, and they may feel we should just focus, you know, we should just focus on one race, but try to build like a global economy for all mankind, you know, and which in theory is, you know, it sounds good and everything, but however, as I look at the world today, and mainly America, I see the complete opposite. You know, if you look at any major corporation, like, you know, you look at Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, Dell, AT&T, Verizon, Walmart, all these big corporations, even CNN, you know, ABC, you know, Fox, you know, whoever you look at the top of the organization, and you'll see, like, you know, CEO, CFO, CIO, all of them are mostly, like, you know, Caucasian for the most part, all the owners, you know, even like in football, you know, which is predominantly, you know, NFL, you know, NBA, college is mostly black people, but you look at the owners, you know, you see a completely different thing or whatever, you know, and then you look at the bottom, you know, the bottom ranks, and then, you know, you see who's working at the bottom. You see the call centers, janitor type jobs, trash men, you know, other assistants, like, I mean, even like if you do have supervisors, you know, most of them are like on the low level type supervisor type thing, you know, and, you know, usually people, you know, of our color. Furthermore, other races that have small businesses, they definitely hire their own family and friends. You know, if you look at the Hispanic community, Asian community, you know, Arabic type of community, you know. But like if you look at, but if you look at our community, you know, like I say with the NBA, NFL, you know, even BET, you know, it's not, you know, black owned. You know, it's, you know, owned by somebody else. And we are indeed, you know, we are indeed giving jobs and opportunities from other races or groups. However, it is hardly the top jobs. And you know, and when I think about it, I think like, you know, why should it be? It is not, you know, it's not jobs or wealth that can be passed down from generation to generation. It is usually jobs that no one else in that group really wants. It's their scraps and expendable jobs that can end and be replaced at a moment's notice. Therefore, we can't, you know, therefore, why can't we do the same? Why can't we build mega corporations with our own people at the top branches, and other people can fight for the lower positions? And no, I'm not advocating we create these black businesses and discriminate others against it. If they're qualified people, then they can be offered higher positions. I just want you all to think more business minded. If any person wants to come into our establishment to do business with us, then they can come. They will be treated with the utmost respect, you know, regardless of creed, sex, race, or anything like that. We as the people, we need to get out of this mind frame of depending on everyone else to give us a job, you know, this dream type of job when we can actually create it for ourselves. So, you know, I can go on and on about the whole, you know, economy and everything, you know, also about, you know, all the, you know, things that happened in the past, you know, with the whole, like, you know, drugs, Ebola, the KKK and all that. But you know, for our community, the black community, it's pretty much, you know, we stimulate everybody else's economy for the most part. You know, my understanding about this world is that nothing is free, and all money ain't good money. A lot of people don't have our best interests at heart. Therefore, we can't depend on people and expect others to sympathize with us and dig us out of this situation. We have the financial power. We spend about $1.1 trillion annually as a group. We must build trust in each other again and support one another. We must create our own financial economy or continue to beg for scraps and be at the mercy that may not have, at the mercy of others that may not have our best interests. All right, and that is all. The end. Thank you. That was too long?